this week's episode. I'm Paula Williams.
I'm John Williams.
And we are ABCI, and ABCI's mission is
to help all you ladies and gentlemen out there sell more products and services in the aviation world.
Right, exactly. And this week we are doing a topic that we have just touched on in years past, but have never really spent any time on. And it is something that is incredibly important to anyone who is doing any kind of marketing or working with the public or anything like that. So we're going to call this Defense Against the Dark Arts. If you're a Harry Potter fan, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you are not a Harry Potter fan, beg, borrow, and steal some kids.
And ask.
And watch some movies, exactly, or read some books, even better. So, okay, so this episode is being brought to you by a new product, our Aviation Reputation Management product.
Yes.
Which is something that we developed in response to some things that were happening with some of our clients that we'll talk a little bit about, not in detail, but we'll keep things confidential. But I do think that it's happening to more people more often as reviews become more influential and people are, consumers especially, are recognizing their power and they're using it to terrorize companies, right?
Well, I think we can have some fun with this podcast. We'll see how good you are with your answers.
We'll do our best. So, just to briefly explain the metaphor, in one of the Harry Potter books, they talk about, there's a conversation between two sets of teachers. Should we be teaching Defense Against the Dark Arts, or should we just not have kids know that there's evil in the world, right?
Right. They're going to find out one way or the other.
Exactly. And the same argument applies to, should we be teaching business owners how to manage reviews, or should we just let those reviews happen on their own? And I think a lot of business owners in the past have just kind of let this happen on its own and kind of refused to acknowledge the existence of these review sites and how influential they can be. They openly scoff at some of them.
Rightly or wrongly.
Right, and I think you're one of the openly scoffers, at least in years past. Is that right?
With respect to what?
Reviews.
Oh. No, I don't even look at them.
Right.
Well, and the reason is because, you never know whether it's the company putting reviews out there. They'll say these are validated reviews, but so?
Right. And we'll talk about that, how some of these companies screen the reviews, how to get a review removed if you think it is unfair or inappropriate, how hard it is to get a review removed, and so on. So anyway, the point is that bad reviews are real and they really can kill you.
Yes, they can.
Now, a lot of times in aviation, we have to look at other industries because we just don't have the numbers, and we don't necessarily have the professional organizations that, like restaurants or the finance industry and other kinds of things, may have, looking at some of the statistics. So our statistics are not as statistically significant as other industries' statistics.
Well, they are with respect to our industry.
That's true. But we're going to use a statistic from the restaurant industry because it is also competitive, just like us. It is customer service, just like us, and has some similarities to us. So this is from a Harvard review of Yelp ratings of 35,000 restaurants in the San Francisco Bay Area between 2008 and 2016. So restaurants with a 2.5 star rating out of 5 were 25% more likely to close. Restaurants with a 4.5 to 5 star rating, the risk increase dropped to 0%. Now, there's a lot of reasons for that. I'm sure that the restaurants that are getting good reviews were managing their business well, and doing a lot of things right. And 35,000 is not a huge number, but it's better than anything we could find from the aviation industry. So it's still, pretty significant.
Yeah, you can make statistics say anything you want, but just taking this one at face value is what we're trying to do to give you an idea of what's going on.
Right, exactly. So customers do look at reviews, maybe not John, but there are people that do. And especially if they're looking at two options and they see a review from someone they know on one of those reviews, and everybody in aviation knows everybody else in aviation, or at least knows of them. So if you can get a review from someone that is well known and well respected, positive or negative, that's going to have a huge impact on your company.
Yes, but I prefer reviews from individuals I know that have purchased products rather than going to a site and saying, oh, look. I mean, I'll glance at them to see if the majority of them, and if I look at anything, I'll look at the bad ones.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so good reviews or testimonials are the most effective form of advertising. So whenever we start working with a new customer, we ask them in our first or second meeting, do you have any happy customers we can interview and get some good testimonials from? Because what we say as your marketing company and what you say as the company, right, is a lot less influential than what someone else says, especially if you know Gene Clow and you know what he likes and doesn't like, and how particular he can be,
and how successful his business is.
Exactly, and how long he's been in the business. Then this is going to mean a lot more to you than just a plain 4-star, 5-star anonymous from initials, kind of thing. So good reviews are gold. Bad reviews will kill you. So this is not something that you can dismiss the importance of and keep a healthy company, at least not anymore, right? Nope. Okay, so let's talk about, speaking of defense against the dark arts, you could be attracting customers that are more likely to give bad reviews. Now, there was a time, about a year ago, I think, when there was a company that was doing aviation PR. And they were a lot less expensive than we are, but they were taking people's money and disappearing, basically.
Yeah.
So now we had an opportunity, and we actually talked about this. There is a group of people who has just been bilked or just been done dirty, by somebody in our industry. We could go after those people, and we could get those customers, and we could have done that. We decided not to for two reasons. One, because he was not in the same price range that we were. He was charging a lot less than we were. Number two, we don't necessarily want customers that have just been burnt, right?
Exactly.
Because, just like rebound dating, you wouldn't encourage your best friend to go out with somebody who just went through a horrific divorce.
Or got dumped.
Exactly. Because, there's the suspicion, there is there are some people that are just harder to please than others. And one way that you might be doing that is if you are going after those opportunities where maybe a competitor is leaving people with a bad taste in their mouth, and you're purposely going after those people are going to be more inclined to be suspicious and so on. It might be better to give them 6 months, or something like that, just like in dating. And then see how things go rather than go after them right away. The other thing that you might, or your salespeople might be doing, is speaking badly of competitors. So
that's never a good deal.
Once you start that spiral and you start that negative thought process, then that negative thought process can very easily turn on you. So whenever we're in the sales process with someone and they're speaking badly about their suppliers and the marketing people they worked with in the past and their customers or anybody else, once they start that negative thought pattern, then we very seriously consider, do we really want this customer? And is this somebody that we could really turn things around for? And is it worth it? As opposed to, we kind of have a track record of our very best customers are really good business people who have always had good relationships with the people they do business with.
Exactly.
So, if you're hearing a lot of good things, even if you have to work with another marketing company, or even if there is a competitive situation you have to address feature by feature, rather than subjectively tearing somebody down, you want to make sure you take the high road, not just for ethical reasons, but also for practical reasons, right?
And we have actually, I don't know what word to use, dismissed, gotten rid of, ceased marketing for companies that are like that.
Especially if they don't like their customers. That's probably the kiss of death. If you don't like your customers, you really have no business selling something to them. That's thing number one is really the attitude and the projection and the way that you're setting that up. If you've got advertisements that say, have you been done wrong by a charter company? Then maybe we should, get together and we'll solve that problem for you. And, if you've had a bad experience with our competitor, then try us instead. So that may be setting you up in a way for problems in this area. Okay, so sometimes you're going to get bad reviews that are unfair, right? There's a bunch of billboards last year around Salt Lake City that were snowbird, and people were giving them 1-star reviews because it is a very challenging resort, and that's what some people want. But if somebody's got little kids or it's their first time skiing or whatever, they're going to spend most of their time upside down in a snowbank, and that's not going to be any fun. And they actually turned that around and used their 1-star reviews as billboards.
Yes, they did, and did it quite effectively.
Right, so they're actually repelling customers that they don't want. So, this one is clearly, this is a review about a podcast. Someone gave them a 1-star review and said, "I'm never taking my family there again." It's like, well, you don't take your family to see a podcast. So obviously this is not right. And, so in those kinds of situations, that's where you want to use the review process for the review site and go through those kinds of things. Okay, so there are 5 likely scenarios for bad reviews. Your industry will probably have some slightly different variables and other things, but the most likely one is mistaken identity, right?
Really?
It's not the most likely, but it does happen a lot more, I think, than people expect. 2, a jealous competitor.
That happens a lot.
Exactly. 3, customer had a bad experience.
It happens.
Right. 4, equipment, facility, weather, something out of your control. 5, you or someone on your team screwed up. It does happen, right? No matter what the scenario is, we do have a process that we use and that we recommend and that we use with our customers as well, with people that we're managing their social media and their reviews. So first you assess the message, you decide whether it's positive or negative. In some cases it's mixed, which is fine too. If it is negative, you want to evaluate the purpose. Was it an unhappy customer? Was it a dedicated complainer? Was it a wannabe comedian? And then were the facts correct? If yes, and if the problem is being fixed, you just explain what's being done to correct the issue. If it is a problem you can't fix, then you may want to just let it stand and monitor the situation. Just say, "I'm sorry you had a bad experience." I think we always want to respond almost.
Well, but if it's a problem that is, in fact, say maintenance or something that's being corrected, you can't say nothing.
Right.
You have to say something, and all you really have to do is give a status report. Parts ordered, just got here, depending on how frequently you want to talk about it,
right.
And frequently how, whatever the object is, and they're working on it. They estimate whenever.
Right. But one thing I cannot emphasize strongly enough is that you want to respond quickly, kindly, and sincerely. No matter how bad the review is, you have to be the adult in the room. I'm sorry you feel that way, but here's what's going on. And you really want to address it from that situation. You really want to put on your grown-up hat and address these in a way that assumes the best intentions on the part of the person.
Any other response or no response is a loser.
Exactly. Even if you're contesting it, you want to respond kindly and quickly, and then contest it and tell Google or Facebook or Yelp or whomever, I think this is a fake account. This is not somebody we've ever done business with. Whatever you're doing on the side, don't make that public.
Right.
So you want to be quick, kind, and courteous. Okay. So the fewer reviews you have, the more biased the view is of people who are going through those. So if someone only has one review and it's negative, that's a really untenable situation to be in, especially as people are getting in the habit of looking at those reviews before they make a major investment and things. They at least take a look at that. So you want to make sure that you are getting as many reviews as possible. So this week we're talking about why managing your reviews is important. Hopefully we've convinced you that you do need to do something about this, whether you do it yourself, get someone to do it, and so on.
Like us.
Like us, exactly. Next week, we're going to talk about the 5 types of bad reviews. We touched on those and how to respond in a little bit more detail. And then the following week, we're going to talk about how to improve your odds by getting more and better reviews.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. So download our reputation management worksheet. You'll find a link on this page or wherever you're, actually, if you can go to abci1.com/tip sheets, you will find that as one of our many tip sheets that you can download and use. And that's a worksheet that you can use. It'll have our triage process and also reasons to escalate, reasons to, if you've got somebody managing your social media and things like that. Sometimes things need to go straight to the CEO. You don't want to waste a lot of time, but you want to make sure that you're addressing the things that need to be addressed. And also suggested responses to common problems. And we give you some wording that you can play with to make that accurate and make it useful to you.
Exactly.
So if you're interested in our aviation reputation management product, this is something that's new, and we've just come out with it because we just discovered number one, we had a need. Some of our clients were running into situations where some of these things were happening to them, and we wanted a better way to make sure that we were on top of it. So it is software plus service, like a lot of our products. It is a piece of software that we've been using ourselves on our own site to monitor and manage those reviews, and also to give us a concise view so it saves us time in seeing those all in one place and then managing those reviews. Right. And since we've been using it, we've been getting a lot of reviews, which is great. So if you know any of these people, thank you very much, Bill and Jeremy and David, and for leaving those reviews. And we very much appreciate it. And if you'd like to leave us a review, you can do that on the side of our website. There's a little button that says leave us a review, and then you'll see how that software works.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for joining us, and have a great day.
We'll see you next time.